everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Scrubcast. I am your host, Solaris Quixote, also known as Solaris X. I am your scrub. This is me. I am ready to purvey to you yet another catalog of scrubbiness. I am a scrub, and the whole point of this broadcast is to show you how to not be one. Which would sound odd coming from a scrub to a fellow scrub. But the idea is here that on the Scrubcast, I'm going to follow some hero played not by me, because I'm terrible, but by somebody who's actually pretty good. Somebody who gets paid to play heroes. Professional. That's what we call those people, professionals. Professional Dota players. We also watch professional Dota players play professional matches where tournament money is on the line, because I don't like to just watch a bunch of pub matches by these guys and, oh, well, he's messing around. I don't know. I like it when people are serious and they're actually playing, because that's where the game's real and they're not going to be super risky. They're going to play carefully so they can win. So what we have here is pretty interesting. This is a SL iLeague Star Series, Star League, I believe is what it's called. It's the Star League Series, it's the SL iLeague Star Series S2. This particular matchup is Complexity versus Digital Chaos. Complexity, very highly ranked right now, with Swindle Melons there on the captain slot, doing pretty well with his teammates. I've watched a number of games with them. They have really stepped up their game since the last major, and I think they're a real good contention, I think, for this major. We'll see. They're probably the top 5 for sure, maybe even in the top 2 or 3 teams right now. Going up against Digital Chaos. They're definitely very good. They've proven themselves very recently, and this is where Weehaw has gone. You can see here, W33, that's Weehaw's name. He left. He was on Secret for the last major, and since Secret decided to pick up both RTZ and Universe, they had to kick somebody, so they kicked Weehaw. Weehaw is an amazing player. I'm actually not going to be watching him, though, this particular game. By the way, there's plenty of amazing players on this team. Resolution, Misery, Moo. I actually don't know Saxa very well. I have not watched him very much. He seems to be a solid player. But what I want to watch is this Keeper of the Light. This is going to be played by Misery. It doesn't have his little name up here yet. And by the way, Moo played a fantastic Beastmaster in this game. Resolution played a fantastic Faceless Void, going the Radiance build, very tanky Radiance build. And then Weehaw actually played a very good puck game. And I was really tempted to try to cast him, this Scrubcast about him. But I decided that because Keeper of the Light is not a very common pickup, and I think people don't get to see how he's played very much. I think people often see a puck and can probably figure that out. But, how do you play a Keeper of the Light? I have a friend of mine who plays a Keeper of the Light all the time, and I'm not sure whether he's playing Keeper of the Light properly. And I kind of, to a certain extent, dedicate this cast to him, so I can help him in my games with him, to help him know what exactly you do with the Keeper of the Light throughout the different stages of the game. Again, the Scrubcast follows one hero. I don't follow all these heroes. I will occasionally click on them to see what's going on, to kind of give context to what the hero that I'm following is doing. I will actually stick this thing on player perspective, and I will actually follow Misery around pretty much the whole time. And so, you're not going to get this big overall picture of what's happening in the game. I'm not going to cast team fights like you might get these really good professional casters casting team fights. My goal is to help a person who wants to play Keeper of the Light well follow Keeper of the Light through an entire professional match and find out what you should be doing. At least what are the professionals doing, which I think in this particular case, and in most cases, is what you should be doing. Misery got accolades for playing this game as Keeper of the Light, so we're going to go ahead and follow him. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the match here. I think it starts right away. All right. So first things first, let me go ahead, and before any of this starts, I do like to get a little preview of the hero. So we'll go ahead and... well, let me do it. Why not? Well, perhaps I need to be on free camera. There we go. There's Keeper of the Light for you. Old man Coddle, also known as Gandalf. I want to go through his abilities here and go through his initial starting build. Just kind of what kind of hero he is. So he starts off with only 520 health, very susceptible to being ganked, killed pretty early on. He only has 49 damage, not a tremendous amount of damage. Not most heroes don't start a lot of damage. He does have an armor, which is nice. And he's on a horse, so I guess he's going to go a little faster than your average hero. He's at 335 move speed to start off with. He is an intelligence hero. He doesn't have, he's never going to have a ton of strength or anything like that. That's not what he's built for. He has a couple different spells, actually several spells, more than your typical spell set. He has Illuminate, which is the horses that he casts forth, the wave of horses that push the enemy back. And once you have Spirit form, I think it's maybe the Ags is when you can Illuminate actually heals your allies that are caught in the blast radius. This used to be even bigger area of effect. It is a little smaller now, ever since I think a few patches ago. But it's based, you cast it, kind of charge it up. The longer you charge it, the more damage it does. And it's going to do damage to any heroes caught in the blast radius X amount of times the 100. So equal to the amount of channel time. So 2-second channel time, you're going to do 200 damage. And you should probably know that, because you should be able to look at the enemy hero and know how long you need to charge something in order to be able to kill them. Or at least do enough damage to get within kill range of, say, an axe or something like that. So, it's 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your charge duration multiplied by the 100 modifier. So that's going to be potentially 500 damage. That's quite a bit. The range is huge, huge range. Width is not as big as it used to be. It's still pretty decent. But look at that, 1550. This is so annoying to play against. You got 10-second cooldown on this thing. The mana, of course, being the real limiter in this particular case. The 10 seconds is really a fast cooldown there. Mana Leak, I think an underappreciated and misunderstood spell. This is a spell where you cast it on an enemy. It basically causes them to deplete mana. They literally leak mana as they run away. If they stand still, they don't leak mana. But if they move, and they start running out of mana. And the duration of this is ridiculous. Okay, so 5 seconds at level 1, and it's going to cause the players to completely change what they're doing, especially if you're early in a lane. You need mana, potentially. Especially some heroes need mana to survive in the lane, need mana to stay in the lane. Clarities take forever to pop the mana back up. In this case, he's going to do, for 5 seconds, he's going to be leaking mana. So 5% mana per second there. I think that's how that works. And then if you run completely out of mana, the hero is stunned. 1.5, 2, 2.53, so it does scale pretty well. Cast range on this is very nice. Goes all the way up to 1,000, which is really, you'll see Keeper of the Light's really defense here is to stay in the back of the lines. He is not a frontline hero whatsoever. So very annoying spell, and against certain heroes, devastating. Chakra Magic. Now this one is cool. By the way, none of these other ones pierce spell immunity, so BKBs are going to be good defenses against these things. Chakra Magic, however, is different. So I guess it's kind of odd though, because Chakra Magic is a good spell. You can cast it through BKB. That's nice. Recall is actually, or is it the Blinding Light? That does not go through BKB. Okay, so Chakra Magic, basically just you regain your mana. Everybody I think knows this one if they play him. It's one of his more interesting spells. I don't think there's any other player in the game that can do that. Very enjoyable to have, especially if you're playing with a hero that uses, an ally in the lane that uses a ton of mana. Very, very nice. Recall, this is the ability that makes him sort of like an IO. It's like a wisp. Was kind of wispy spell here. You can pull your friends out of danger, or you can pull them, if they're farming on the other side of the map, you can pull them to you, so you can help have a group team fight. Really good if you want to have the ability to gank somebody in the woods. Maybe you have a bounty hunter, get some sight, something like Beastmaster perhaps. So there's lots of options you can do with this recall, being able to teleport. And keep in mind there is a delay on the teleport. It's only 3 seconds though at level 3, which is nice. Blinding Light. By the way, recall and Blinding Light abilities you can only use if you are in spirit form. Blinding Light being a very powerful spell. Flashes over target area, knocking back and blinding the units. Now, a lot of people use this, I think, for knockback, kind of like the Batrider, and it's very similar to the Batrider. I think it's called Flame Break. But this particular case, they get a huge miss chance, and the duration is insane. It's a 6-second AOE, 675 AOE miss chance, 80% miss chance. Plus, they're knocked back. So perhaps one of the, I don't know, you could use this defensively, you could use it aggressively. My friend typically uses it very defensively to kind of run away. I think it's better off to be used aggressively. Get in the team fight, get right in the middle of it, have all your allies there, wait for the enemy team to really start to pounce, and then cast this thing. And for 6 seconds, they're going to miss 80% of the right clicks, and they're going to be knocked back. And so some percentage of that time, maybe 2 seconds, they're going to have to get back into formation. Usually can't hit the entire enemy team on this one, but very, very nice spell. Only 50 mana, 12-second cooldown, so you can cast this probably twice during a fight. Keep in mind that half of that time, at alt level there, 6 seconds of that is they're already blinded, and they've been knocked back some portion of that time. So roughly every 6 seconds in a team fight, they're going to be able to actually hit you. So they have a 6-second window. I mean, this is just an insanely powerful spell, in my opinion. Very undervalued. Spirit Form, of course, what allows you to use these 2 spells, and also you can cast the Illuminate with, it just kind of sits there, it kind of casts for you, and you can then move around and do something else. You'll see this in game. So he starts off with, I'm going to go ahead and hit play here. He starts off with, let's see here, 4 tangos. He's going to want some regen, looks like. He's going to go over here and assist resolution and I forgot to really just kind of say this. We've got, on this team setup is we have Coddle with a Doom. We have a Resolution, Faceless Void. We have the Weehaw Puck and Moo Beastmaster. So, the question is, where is this Misery going to go? And you got Resolution in the safe lane, Weehaw in the mid lane. You've got off lane going to be with the Beastmaster, almost certainly going to be a Beastmaster. This game, it actually turns out not be the case, I believe. And Doom typically is going to be an off laner. You can play Misery in any number of positions here. It's very flexible, I think. That's the nice thing about it. You're going to have a lineup against him, which is a Night Stalker, Tiny, Leshrac, Tusk, Crystal Maiden. Another example of we're not really sure where these lanes are going to be. Crystal Maiden will pretty much have to be some kind of safe lane hero. It'd be very dangerous to put her in another lane because of how slow she is. You're potentially going to have Tiny mid. I've seen a lot of Tiny mid. Leshrac probably going to be a safe lane core here. And then you got Swindles on the Night Stalker, probably going to go off lane with Z-Freak, who's going to be roaming on the Tusk. So in this case, you're going to have, Misery. It's unclear where Misery is going to go. That's another benefit to having this hero. And we're about ready to have a team fight started here. It looks like Complexity smoked up, ran in, tried to get on the high ground, but got popped. The smoke got popped. Resolution able to get out of there despite the frost by the Tusk. Weehaw caught out here. I don't know what he was thinking. The enemy didn't go away. They didn't have vision of the enemy, and so not a very smart move on his part. But, Weehaw really makes up for it in this game. Keeper Light picking up his Illuminate. I don't know what else he would possibly get. It's such a powerful lane-dominating spell. He does have a Clarity, and that's going to be important for him. Even though he does have Chakra Magic, I think you don't get a high enough level of Chakra Magic to be able to regenerate your health and keep the pressure on Illuminate. So this is going to help him stay in the lane. He needs those levels. He is a hero that relies quite a bit on levels. Got a couple of Iron Branches for additional lane domination, damage, and also just, a little bit of health. He needs that health. A little bit of mana regen. He needs that. So he's actually going to be laning with Resolution in the off lane. Void very often an off laner. So what they're doing here is DC, Digital Chaos, has the Beastmaster in the safe lane, Weehaw Puck in the mid lane, Resolution in the off lane with the Keeper of the Light. Keeper of the Light protecting Resolution. So this is what a Keeper of the Light should be doing. Putting pressure in the off lane if possible against whatever the safe lane hero is, but also protecting, if at all possible, the off laner. So he's going to go ahead and put pressure and Resolution there on the Chessie there on the Leshrac. Backing up Resolution. Notice his positioning over here. He's on the left. He doesn't want to get creep waves. He also doesn't want to be seen when he's casting the Illuminate. And that's precisely why, because he's able to get Chessie a little bit there as Chessie was running away. Chessie uses his stun. They're going to go on Hanskin. Misery putting the pressure on Hanskin there. There's a Hadouken there from the creep. Actually, not from the creep, from the Doom, who had ate the creep and obtained that ability. Misery pops his Clarity. This is a perfect example of if you want to be able to put early game pressure, you need to have a Clarity on the Keeper of the Light, even though you have Chakra Magic, because you're not going to get Chakra Magic till a level 2, and you're probably not going to get a decent level of Chakra Magic until he's probably going to just, let's see, level 4. He's probably going to 2 levels in Illuminate first. Resolution getting hit hard. Going to cast. I'm surprised Misery didn't cast an Illuminate there to return it. He's probably going to wait, see if he can get a kill here. Just keeps putting the pressure on Handskin, hitting the weakest target in here. He does cast Chakra Magic on, I'm guessing, who did he cast that on? Might have been the Doom. Somebody probably requested that. I need to use this ability. Got it. So he went ahead and got the Chakra Magic and used that. Now that he's got Chakra Magic, he's going to be able to at least sit in the lane a little bit. He would have been useless there for that potential gank. He wasn't doing that. So there's a Tango used to cut that tree line. He pulls these creeps over at the 22 second mark. Go ahead and gets the whole creep wave pulled over. So now this is going to totally change the creep equilibrium. This is a tri-lane, an aggressive tri-lane, apparently. Doom sitting here. I'm going to get some farm off of these creeps. Resolution's going to stay over in the lane, get some farm off of those creeps. Pull them under the tower, potentially. I think he has a shield, so that's okay. And then the Keeper of the Misery just keeping the pressure on these heroes. Trying to keep them in their little box. Not letting them be able to get aggressive on his heroes, so on and so forth. And the thing is, this is, I think, misunderstood, and I'm just starting to really get it, is when you're a safe lane, or you're supporting another hero, your ability to damage even just a little bit the enemies gets them to a point where they're maybe potentially scared to be aggressive. So Chessie, he's going to go on Resolution here potentially, but just a little bit of extra damage on him is going to make him think twice about it. And I think when you're playing in pub matches, that's probably a really like, my gosh, Handskin's now down to half health. He can't be aggressive because as soon as he does, Resolution's going to jump in there and kill him. One more Keeper of the Light, Coddle, Illuminate is going to potentially kill him. I'm surprised he might just go ahead and cast. He's going to have 2 points in Chakra Magic. He's already got, he thinks he's over here. Actually, he's not over here. Handskin pops out. Crystal Maiden. This could potentially be a kill right here. Yep. Very, very close. And he's going to probably get a kill. Resolution using the time dilation to prevent any cooldowns being used. And Resolution slowly pulling away here from the Leshrac, dodging the Leshrac stun. Keeper of the Light putting his Illuminate into the jungle. That was bad. Resolution actually got hit by the creep just as he popped a salve, so he's probably going to have to leave the lane. Unless, actually, Keeper of the Light's going to use the salve. So there you go. Keeper of the Light's doing okay. I think there's a dodge, a gank attempt here. The enemy team doesn't probably, Complexity Pod doesn't know that there's Resolution in the jungle, or if they did, yeah, they do now. So Resolution might die here. Meanwhile, Misery casts Illuminate, try to offset this attack. Again, try to make these enemy teams, or enemy heroes, thinking twice about coming in. Now you got a friend coming in. Misery keep putting pressure on Handskin. Get a puck on the Weehaw on the puck coming in, gonna orb into a silence, into an Illuminate, into a kill. So that's a very powerful combination. You didn't see the combination between the puck and the Illuminate, but you got a puck with the silence plus a Dream Coil, then the Illuminate's going to do even more damage. So Z-Freak on the Tusk getting caught out there. Resolution's going to have to jump away. Weehaw going to try to counter this with an orb. And Misery consistently putting damage on these heroes. Just look at what he's doing. He's constantly running in and doing damage. Casting Illuminates, running in and doing damage. He is putting consistent pressure on these heroes. He's taking hits from the creeps while he's doing so, but he's setting up a lot of these kills. It's underappreciated because you're like, oh, it's just a little bit of right-click damage from a Coddle. That's not going to do much, right? Well, it doesn't do a ton, but if you keep adding it up, it's 100 damage. 100, every, let's see here. I don't know what his attack speed is at the moment, but every time he attacks, he's basically doing half, he's 60 damage at this point. And, two attacks, 120 damage. And when you've got heroes like Leshrac, which is very low health, 120 damage makes a big difference. And then you add an Illuminate onto that, which is potentially going to do 500 damage, and you've got almost a kill. We just look at that. 680 minus 120 is 560. That means Leshrac would be left with 60 damage, and my guess is by the time he'd be down to that, somebody else would have hit him once, and that's all you need. 79 damage already on a Faceless Void. You know, and that's one dead Leshrac. So Leshrac's going to have to be careful, and you can see Leshrac's actually, you know, they're trying to support the Leshrac with 2 to 3 heroes. Crystal Maiden, the Tusk. Okay, so what is the... okay, I missed that whole fight there. Okay, so Keeper of the Light playing defensively. He is kind of watching over Resolution here. He decides to go in the jungle. He's not really paying much attention to what's going on. He's watching Resolution. He's trying to get a pull here on the creep at 55 seconds, but Swindle's in the right place at the right time on the Night Stalker. He's going to get that fear, crippling fear, on the Keeper. And that's actually a really, you know, Night Stalker versus Keeper is a nasty combo. In fact, if Night Stalker were to just go back and just basically follow Keeper around, Keeper would be completely countered. I mean, there's very little the Keeper could do against a Night Stalker. And that's one of the big problems. If you've got gap closers against a Coddle, Coddle is really, really screwed. The best defense he has is a blinding blast, a blinding light, and that's going to only last, you know, again, for a few seconds. And it's an 80% miss chance, not 100% miss chance. If there's spells, then of course they're going to be able to cast them against Misery anyway. So that's another reason why Crippling Fear is so powerful, because he can't even cast the Blinding Light. No defensive spells whatsoever. So they're on the tower siege here. Keeper of the Light just keeps maintaining pressure on the tower, keeps hitting the tower, keeps pushing these creep waves. I think most people understand that power there of Coddle. And notice he's just building points here into his Illuminate and his Chakra Magic. I can see a different build on Mana Leak potentially being more powerful, depending on the hero. He actually using the Illuminate to scout enemies to the left. He was not using that to hit creeps. He wanted to see if there was any attack coming in. But you could see how Mana Leak could be very powerful early in the game against a hero that relies very heavily on mana. Actually, I would think mid, this could be a really good counter mid. You have a rotating Coddle. You come in and, you know, put Mana Leak on a mid hero, and all of a sudden the mid hero has to run away from the gank to avoid the gank, and they're losing all their mana and they got to leave the lane. Good potentially even against Bottle. Now Misery, another great thing about Misery here on the Coddle is he can just stay way back and keep casting these Illuminates. And see, he's just running in here, he just keeps the pressure on, slowly but surely adding up the damage. He does pop his Mana Stick there, pops his boots to give everybody mana. Casting the Illuminate, keeping the pressure on the creep wave. They're pushing this tower now, and he's going to be one of the best assets because there's nobody who has really gained creep wave clear quite like a Coddle. So Coddle's able to affect the fight by sitting all the way back in the woods there, not only giving vision to his team, but giving damage, dealing damage to the enemy team, decent enough against Tiny to push them all back. So he sees the gank up here on Moo. He decides to go ahead and TP in. I guess maybe Moo was trying to let him know whether he can make it. And Moo ends up getting killed, so it wasn't really worth it there. Illuminate coming through, doing a little damage to Swindle is not going to be a lot. And he's going to have to be careful because, as we talked about, the Night Stalker is potentially going to wreck Misery. There's the Fear. There's the toss in from the Tiny. Going to probably get a kill here. 1 or 2 more hits. Yep. Now that's why you don't go mano-a-mano against the Night Stalker is Coddle. His team's going to be able to turn this though with a Infernal Blade stun and a Puck ultimate. So not the best trade there. You know, he didn't need that. He didn't need to do that. But at least they got the Night Stalker on the Puck, I guess. So that's at least additional experience on the Puck, which you need. Additional gold on the Puck, which you need. So I don't know. Maybe a decent bait. Nobody really needs. Killing a Coddle is not a very high value thing. Now, just talking about Coddle here, he has not been buying wards. This is not a position 5 Coddle. I see most matches Coddle is a position 5. You know, you look here. I guess actually, okay, that's Doom. Doom is a position 5. Doom is a bitch, ward bitch. He's got his observer wards. He's the one that's warding this. That makes a difference. That means Kato can go for more important items like a headdress. He did pick up a smoke, which is usually a position 5, potentially position 5 thing to do. He is stacking, so before he tries to kill all these creeps with his Illuminate, he is going to stack them up a little bit. That makes sense. You know, why even bother unless you're going to stack? If you can just get a stack real fast, you're killing twice as many in the same amount of time. He has to cast half the number of Illuminates to get the same amount of gold, put it that way. And he's farming up his mechanism. He's at the back of the fight. He should survive most of the initial onslaught, so he should be in a good position to heal up his friends, play that role. He's going to have mana to cast the mechanism. And he's going to be wanting to stand in the back lines anyway, because once he gets an Ags and he's constantly in spirit form, or even if he's not doesn't have Ags, he's going to be able to cast that Illuminate over his allies, do tons of damage from the back lines. And again, I don't really remember whether the spirit form gives you the heals under Illuminate to your allies, or if that's only of Ags. I think it might be only with Ags. So he's still sticking with this magic stick. He actually hasn't upgraded that yet. He's prioritizing the mech. That makes sense, given that complexity is in a position to be pretty powerful here. They got a Tiny, the ability to jump in against his team is very powerful. They're going to push down this tower. Actually, he's going to go ahead and do Spirit Form, cast his Illuminate, put pressure on the enemies without having to commit to himself, or commit to sitting in that position himself. He wants to also have that Blinding Light available, so he does cast it preemptively. It lasts, let's see here, 40 seconds. It's pretty long. That'll get you through a team fight. It depends on how soon you cast it, I suppose. So Misery pointing out some potential ward activity or something going on in this area. Once again, he stacks. He's going to go ahead and use Illuminate to farm a little bit. He's not sitting in the lanes and farming. You'll see that that's a very dangerous thing to do right now. You're going to get yourself killed, even if you have a Blinding Light. The other thing is, I've seen, my friend will cast Spirit Form, and what he'll do is he'll sit in the lanes, and he'll just push the lanes. And then he'll cast Spirit Form and Blinding Light the enemy as soon as they go on him. Which, I guess, is an interesting tactic, and it works decently well to push waves. But, pushing waves into a Tiny is not always the best thing. And, furthermore, being in the lanes is going to potentially be gankable, especially at this high level. Follows Resolution in. They were trying to kill Mu. Once again, Mu gets away. Where is he? He sits on the back lines. He's trying to synergize here with Resolution's ult. He casts the Spirit Form available again. He casts the Illuminate, gets a decent amount of damage. Continue to put pressure on the enemies by just right-clicking them. They're going to TP out of this, go bottom lane. Let his allies push potentially top. He's actually going to go ahead and pull somebody here. He's going to pull Resolution there on the Void. Didn't want to have Faceless Void. Actually couldn't contribute. That's why his TP was down. And why even bother use that spell if they left Beastmaster? That's what happens when you leave Beastmaster. You can even see him flying at the screen there with I'm guessing that's either a Tiny toss or a Tusk Walrus Punch. It's again one of the strangest ultimates in the game. So still doesn't have enough money here for what he needs. He is trying to save up. He has close enough for chainmail. Okay, so setting up for the gank here, you see the Doom mid getting ready to go on the enemy Weehaw, finally going on Chessie. Illuminate trying to set up some kind of damage initially. Okay, so here's what Misery does. He casts a Blinding Light onto Tiny. Tiny's going to potentially miss every single one he's hit. He missed that one. He got his first hit. Illuminate going through and hitting the enemies as they're trying to do damage. Who's going to go ahead and try to turn this with an ultimate. Blinding Light going to go and hit Handskin there for a huge amount of damage. That was actually a Spirit Form Illuminate. And getting a kill. I don't know when Leshrac died there or if that was a result of Actually, that was the initial gank. And so Misery helped set that up. He had hoped, I think, for an initial Illuminate damage. The enemy thinking that, there's only Illuminate damage, don't worry about it. But it's always dangerous to just take an Illuminate blast, especially a full duration one. Although I don't think Shrek knew it was even coming because it was from the other side of the river where he didn't have vision. Potentially, that's the power of an Illuminate that far away. Finally he goes ahead and grabs a buckler. He does pick up some wards, so it's sort of position 4, position 5 here. Maybe going ahead switching priorities so that Doom can pick up some items. Looks like Doom's got a cloak here, Ring of Health, so he's going to build towards some other items. Once again, sitting way back, even through his smoke. Just barely misses the damage on Chessie. Maybe trying to once again set up some ganks. The smoke attempt failed. I don't know what that was about. They didn't really do anything with that. Weehaw using a Dream Coil on Swindles and the Night Stalker. Not sure what that was about. Now this is where Misery, I guess, is okay to keep the lanes pushed, or to push lanes. He's mid, he's protected, he's got wards to the left, he's got his friends to the right, he knows that there's enemies down bottom. He's trying to push this creep wave as best as he can, and he should be able to TP in here. He does not have a teleport scroll. That is bad. So instead he's going to have to do his best. He's watching the team fight, but he's just going to sit here in mid and just try to push down this tower. Watch his teammates get killed. And now he finally gets the teleport scroll. He TP's in behind enemy lines. And okay, I kind of missed what was going on there, so. So he must get, he gets the courier to fly him out TP scroll. He's not even using the speed boost on that, which is interesting. He finally gets a TP scroll. He's got his teammates sitting behind the tower here. He TP's in. He uses the blinding light to start the team fight off. He illuminates. There's a bunch of crap going on. I want to see who he mana leaks.
Is under attack. Dire's middle tower has fallen.
So there's the blast, because they saw Swindles coming in. So he mana voids somebody. I don't know who he mana voids. It's not clear to me who he did mana void, but he does go ahead and get the Illuminate out. He's got another one come up here in 2 seconds. And a little bit extra damage there on Z-Freak, probably going to get the kill. Here comes the Illuminate. He doesn't have to stand there and do anything, channel it, because he's got a Spirit Form on, which is really the reason you save from Spirit Form. Not doing a ton of damage there. He's probably going to cast another Illuminate, try to finish off these enemies. Instead, he's going to try to run away, use the Blinding Light defensively. Weehaw is back up. He's going to run a different direction from Weehaw. Doesn't want to go in the same direction as Weehaw because they can kill both Weehaw and him. They're going to end up killing Weehaw anyway. Tossing Swindles in there, and that was interesting. Swindles actually was blinded in the mid-flight from a tiny toss.
Dire's middle tower.
And he's just going to try to get a kill on Chessie there. Not enough damage, but a decent turnaround once he knew he was going to die. Potentially get that damage off and kill Chessie, who was right in the middle of the blast wave. If he had a buckler, that might, or if he had a mech, that might have been able to turn that team fight a little bit better. He had all his allies behind the line there. He'd been able to contribute a little bit more of that team fight, and that's, I think, a good example, you know, of thinking about how to itemize your hero to maximize your impact throughout a team fight. Keeper of the Light blasts his Illuminate. He can mana leak somebody. He can, you know, Recall is not really helpful during a team fight unless you're trying to pull somebody in. He can Blinding Light. He can mana leak. He can Chakra Magic Illuminate, but he's not really doing, and these are not tons of damage spells. Illuminate is really the only damage spell. And so you can add a little utility to him with the mechanism. You know, he's got the defense, additional armor, additional heal. He would have had that additional mana to do it too, and so he might have been able to help turn that fight. So maybe a little bit more priority on him. Farming would have been better. Maybe none of the wards, maybe not purchasing the smoke would have been okay, because I'm not sure how much the Hood of Defiance really helped there on Doom. They're keeping this creep wave kind of pushed in on top, preventing the creeps from hitting the tower. Cast a sentry ward there. Very common sentry spot, a very common ward spot I've been noticing. And now that they're shifting, looks like they're going to ready to shift here to the top lane. He pulls up Resolution, and that's the most synergetic combo right here, probably. There's an Observer Ward's up there, wants to see if he can get it to catch somebody out. Not going to catch anybody out, because if he wanted to, he could have had Resolution jump in. He would have followed by an Illuminate 500 damage blast, plus any damage from Resolution on the Void, who would be sitting there beating on somebody. But that's the biggest, synergy right there. Puck's going to have some synergy with the Elusive Orb, Illusory Orb, and if Beastmaster can get ult off after the Chronosphere, that'd be good too. But not a ton of synergy on DC's team here. A lot of utility, especially now that they've got the mech, got the boots. They're going to go for the Greaves, I'm sure, next. Looks like they're getting ready to set up for a push on this top tower. They've got the ward right here. If you see my little arrow right there on the river. That was probably an aggressive ward to try to get a gank. But then they've got another ward right here just to the southwest of the tower. I would actually, that's kind of a dangerous ward because you might give you the idea that you have vision, but you don't actually have vision. Misery trying to protect this bottom tower. TP's back down bottom. This tower is very close to dying. He actually completely whiffs the Illuminate, and he actually gets jumped on. He's being very careful, but he ended up being jumped on here. He Blinding Lights limp there on the Tiny. He's going to get potentially killed here by the Tusk. We're snowballing by the Tusk, but there's going to be a counter by the Puck with a fantastic Dream Coil into a 4-man Chronosphere. They are going to wipe up. Other than a Beastmaster out just to put additional pain there on Complexity's lineup. Swindles is doomed up. They're going to have vision over this. Weeha's going to be able to probably chase him down, given the amount of speed and maneuverability of a Puck. And so that was actually a team fight that was started by the Keeper. And he had kind of put himself, he was trying to be very careful. He was fighting under a tower. He knew that potentially there were teammates there. He saw Swindles pushing that lane. Unlikely that Swindles would be there all by himself pushing a lane. And as soon as the Tiny comes in, you could see the Spirit Form and then a Blinding Light to prevent the damage, the right-click damage from Tiny. And he just basically runs away. And in running away right under the tower, the Tier 3 tower, his team was able to return and get a really nice 4-man team kill. Virtually team wipe on Complexity. So really good work there. He probably popped his mechanism too. I don't remember if he did that, but that's the thing, is deceptive. Keeper of the Light, he only has got 860 health. He doesn't have any stuns. He doesn't have any real escape mechanisms other than a Blinding Light. So if you don't get for example, Swindles needs to get that Crippling Fear off first on Keeper of the Light. So this might have been actually a decent game for, say, a Blink Dagger. But you don't want to get a Blink Dagger on ahead of an Ags because of the vision game here you're playing. Which, by the way, is the other thing I haven't really discussed about a Keeper of the Light. When he has Blinding Light on, I know there's an additional vision bonus. I think he always has day vision. And that actually might be the Ags upgrade on him, that he always has day vision, which is just insane. And, how do you... Okay, team fight. So Coddle's actually trying to defend the tower there. He actually gets out of position. Blinding Lights on both Leshrac and Limp. And you're going to see they're not going to be able to pull down Sasuke because of the Blinding Light mischance. Misery gets, once again, ulted by Z-Freak. Not going to be enough to kill him. Complexity's now on the run. Illuminate's probably going to go as soon as they get to a position of stopping point. Probably going to cast a mana leak on somebody to try to get him to stop running away. There's the mana leak on Z-Freak. Try to do a little extra. He's going to TP away, which doesn't really work. Mainly doesn't work on somebody's TPing away, but that's as a weakness, I think, of Keeper of the Light. I think that's the reason why a Blinding Light and a mana leak is powerful, because if people are running away, you don't want people kind of be standing still or running into an Illuminate. And when you can't get them to do that, you have to find a way to plant them. Mana Leak is a great way to do that. Stick them in their place,
Dire's middle
and
tower
potentially,
is under attack.
you can blinding light them back like a Batrider might flame break somebody back. Not the best use of blinding light, because then if the enemy team
Dire's
turns,
middle
then all of a sudden they're
has
able to
fallen.
get decent attacks off on your friends. So using it as a movement spell is only if you know you're in a superior position, far superior position during a team fight. So while he's pushing these creep waves from a very defensive position, he wants to stay off the map. He doesn't want to be just sitting in the lane. Pushing
Dire's top tower
these creep
is
waves, he
under
wants to be
attack.
out of vision. You know, the enemy doesn't know that the Illuminate's coming. The enemy doesn't know, you know, there's another guy there, and they don't know how many people are there when they do see. The enemy teammates are there when they finally see the Illuminate.
Dire's top tower.
You want to give the least amount of information to your enemies as possible, I think, and that's why he's playing that defensive position. Looks like Moog is a solo there on Tusk. Uses his ult to do so. Not bad, though. So, Keeper of the Light here, falling behind on levels because he's actually been not sitting in lanes. He has not been farming very much. He's not really been sitting in lanes. He's putting a little bit of pressure on, but you can see he's going to actually farm this lane a little bit. But he's going to back off immediately. He even pops his Spirit Form as defensive. Maybe not defensive. He's actually going to go. They're going to do Roche here, so he pulls Resolution from farming. Another great benefit. So Resolution can farm as long as possible until he gets in the position to be able to kill Roshan. Keeper of the Light here, after picking up Mechanism, shifting to a much more of a supporty role, but he's missing the experience. So he picked up the Tomes of Knowledge, 2 of them in fact. He's pretty far behind. I guess he's far behind the levels there. He's level 11, along with Doom, which would have potentially been another good target for the Tome of Knowledge. But Complexity, you know, their lowest level is a 10 on Tusk, 11 on the Crystal Maiden, but they've got the biggest damage coming out from the 13 Leshrac, the 15 Tiny, the 14 Night Stalker, and the biggest... Okay, team fight going on, sorry about that. Going to be a Beastmaster. Oh, I'm just start this over because I was not paying attention. Excuse me. Scrubs cast getting all dirty with the sneezes. Okay, so he's playing a ward role here. He's backing off. He's trying to stand there and fight. So he actually moves away from the enemies. He's going to go ahead. He doesn't have a spear form. That's dangerous. All he can do here is cast this Mechanism, which he just did. He has a Blinding Light. He casts a Mana Leak on somebody to try to prevent them from being able to keep their magic up. He's going to Chakra Magic, I think, himself there. He's going to Illuminate again. And they're able to turn the whole team fight. I mean, that's amazing. I'll watch that one more time. Because it looked like they were doing very poorly there at first. There's the Crippling Fear on Resolution. Tiny blinks in, does his toss and stun. There's a return, a counter attack there by the Beastmaster. You've got the Illuminate. You've got the Mechanism, help to heal up his allies there. Really important Mechanism. Hans can get some serious damage in the back lines from an Illuminate. Coddle pops the Magic Stick. Needs some mana, so he also gets some mana back. Casts another Illuminate. He's going to be able to do a decent amount of damage on Hanskin there. And there's the turnaround. Not really, you know, Misery didn't contribute much to that fight except for a Mechanism, I think. He did a little bit of damage to Hanskin on the back lines, but that wasn't probably the best use of his damage. So it's just a really good example of why you get a Mechanism on a Coddle, because he's not going to do much potentially in some of these team fights. It takes a while to cast the Illuminate. It takes a while, you know, if your Spirit Form is down, you know, that's bad. You can't cast Blinding Light. You can't recall somebody out of a dangerous situation. Not good, and that's another example of why you don't just cast Spirit Form willy-nilly. He had Spirit Form to potentially ward off the fight at Roshan, but maybe it would have been better if he had not done that. You know, wait until the enemy is really on you, and you can instantly cast Spirit Form. I don't think there's any kind of channeling or any kind of time to do that. So this is positioning here on the high ground push. He's sitting behind. He actually goes in and Mana Leaks on the Crystal Maiden, which is good because she needs to put herself in a position to be able to ultimate. She can't ultimate. She puts herself in a position and losing her mana. Weehaw turns this one around. Got Illuminate Blast coming through. There's the Blinding Light to push Chessie and Z-Freak back. going to probably cast the Illuminate here, try to get the kill up top, try to do a little extra damage there on Limp. Instead, he's actually just putting the pressure on Swindles. He's not. There's Illuminate right into the big mass of heroes. Spirit Form Illuminate almost kills Hanskin by himself. He's going to put himself in misery here. He actually tells his teammates to come in. The Crystal Maiden is dead. That's, I think, an ultimate down. I don't think she ever cast her ultimate. There's going to be the Illuminate, potentially return damage, 500 damage, AoE radius. Going to mana leak the Leshrac trying to run away. Leshrac seeing lose all his mana, not going to be able to contribute to the fight at all. And that's all that's just for an Aegis. They're probably going to back off now. He's going to probably protect them with an Illuminate Blast, turn around, blast the creep wave and the enemies. He's waiting. There's Crippling Fear. Comes the Illuminate Blast. He's probably going to mana leak somebody here, trying to run away. And that's an overextension there by Complexity. Use the Chakra Magic to get some mana there on the Beastmaster, probably, so the Beastmaster can cast his ultimate. Keeper of the Light needed to use his boots and his magic wand to get enough mana just so he can cast the Chakra Magic, which he'll do very shortly.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
They're keeping the pressure up here. They're gonna, Leshrac is down for 38 seconds. He's gonna be a significant part of their damage. He's the only one that has decent amount of. He's got an AOE stun. That's huge. And there's a tiny blink in. The Beastmaster ultimate into an Illuminate into a Void ultimate. He's gonna Blinding Light. That's a really good tool there. Crystal Maiden was ulting, so he used the Blinding Light to push the Crystal Maiden away. Thus, interrupting her ultimate, and that's very powerful use of Blinding Light. Not only is it going to prevent some damage from being dealt from the mischance, but it's also going to prevent her from being able to finish her ult, which is ridiculous. He did not collect his Tome of Knowledge until now. He finally did get the Guardian Greaves, probably one of the very best items in this game, especially for support. Looks like Tiny's going to do the typical jump in. There's going to be a huge amount of damage. The enemies are grouped up, or his allies are grouped up. Not very smart there. His Spirit Form is down. He's not able to contribute. He doesn't have a Blinding Light he can cast. He's going to eliminate from afar. Potentially be able to kill Chessie here, but Chessie moves. He doesn't even have the ability to do Recall, which he would have been able to do if he had a Spirit Form. So, when the Keeper of the Light doesn't have Spirit Form, that's very, very bad. Very, very bad. Now, really fascinating here, he's part of the reason he doesn't have Spirit Form is because he's not putting points in Spirit Form. He's level 13. He's gonna have he could put an extra point in Spirit Form, but he doesn't. This is really interesting. The cooldown on this is 80 seconds. He would have potentially had that for the last fight, which to protect his allies. Actually, I think I remember correctly, it was like 20 seconds left, so he'd have to have level 3 at this point to have been able to save Resolution there. So maybe it wasn't worth it. This is maybe a wise choice. This allows him to maximize his contribution in the other ways. With the Illuminates, high damage Illuminates, low cooldown. Actually, they're the only thing you get is the high damage as you scale up. The mana leaks, though, look at the range there on the mana leak. You got the potential stun chance. Very powerful there on a Crystal Maiden. Who anytime she runs away, she's so weak she has to run away if there's danger. She can't just be in the middle of some kind of dangerous area if she's going to cast her ultimate. So, also she can't cast her ultimate if she doesn't have any mana. And then you've got the Chakra Magic, which you need. So his contribution is being maximized and elsewhere. He still has the Spirit Form, and he just saves it for the team fights. Maybe this is the most efficient use of his spells and his experience.
Radiant's middle tower is under
attack. Really good, I think, pick up here on Keeper of the Light. It actually looks like they've all they just picked up a bunch of items. They're going to go for the death push here. He does have a Force Staff to potentially allow him or his allies to get the hell out of dodge. He wards up, wants to be able to ensure that they don't get wrapped around, get flanked from the side. He stays way back. He's got a Spirit Form. This is it. This is the final fight. He casts the Illuminate, runs in, mana leaks. Leshrac, another great target because of the mana dependency of Leshrac and the ability for him to be able to move out of the way. He does not have a ton of health. And there's the Blinding Light damage, the Illuminate damage, and they just clean up the enemy team.
Dire's top barracks are under attack.
So this is fascinating. I'm glad I got to watch this. Not the most exciting, I think, play. You know, you've got a hero here that he's not a terribly exciting hero. I actually really like him. You know, part of what I think makes him so powerful is the status effects of his abilities aren't easy to see, and his contribution is largely goes unnoticed. The blinding lights are pouring through. You can't really focus on those if you're the enemy, and there we go. You can't really focus on those if you're the enemy. You have to focus on what you're doing, and then you're running around. And all of a sudden, you have no mana. You have no idea why. You're stunned, and you have no idea why, and you're being moved all around the map. You're being pushed around. You can't hit heroes. Why isn't your team doing any damage? And that's because there's a Keeper of the Light sitting back there. He casts blinding light on you, and you can't do anything. You're running around, and you're being mana leaked, and hey, you're getting ready to go get a gank on this guy. Too late. The guy's saved by Keeper of the Light. Now he's pulled to the other side of the map. All of your allies are on one side of the map, and now the enemy is on the other side of the map pushing a tower. Keeper of the Light kind of rat Dota at its finest there. And this is all, I guess, why I wanted to cast this is because his contribution doesn't seem like a lot, but it really is. I mean, he had the mechanism in addition to that, and now he went up to Guardian Greaves, which is just a ridiculous amount of heals, and the boost. When the allies are below 20% health, they receive 15 health regeneration and 15 armor. That is just such a massive boost to the team. Just having that available, and he's always in the back line, so he's going to be able to cast it. But all of this, I guess I want to say, is all this is without an Ags. You see Keeper of the Lights rush Ags a lot. You also, they want to be in that game. They want to have that constant spirit form. They want to be able to do a ridiculous amount of all the vision. They want to be able to do all the damage with their illuminates, their constant illuminates. He only had 1 point in spirit form. He didn't have all that extra vision. He didn't have the heal, that massive heal to his team. He would have. But he slow played this. I think he carefully, methodically built up the hero properly, so that his whole team, he wasn't ahead of his team. And the other thing he didn't do is he didn't provide a lot of ganks to the enemy. He only died 4 times. The only person who died less was the Face of the Void. That was the carry. And look at the enemy team. I mean, look at the number of times they're dying. And they, by him not giving gold up to the enemy, he potentially also changes the game. And for my friend who plays Keeper of the Light, sits in the lane, pushes the lane, sits in the lane, pushes the lane, uses Spirit Form and the blast to get out of dodge when the enemies try to get on him. I don't know if that's the best use. That way, the way that Misery played this, you could put 1 point Spirit Form, just save it for the team fights. Let your team do the work. Sit behind your teammates when they are pushing. Group up with your teammates. Use your recall sparingly and only when you have the ability to contribute to a team fight, because you're pulling your friend either into pushing a tower or you're pulling your friend out of a dangerous situation or something like that. Stay out of sight when you're pushing lanes. You sit way back, far away. Mana leak the proper targets. Leshrac is a very mana-dependent hero, so is Crystal Maiden. And also movement hero, very low health hero. So they want to get the hell out of dodge. Movement is their friend when they're in trouble, but they can't because they're also mana-dependent and they need to cast their spells to do damage. And that's going to reduce the damage on the enemy team. So mana leak contributing in that way. He assisted on 22 of the kills here. Very important contribution. Constantly hitting the enemies with his little right click, I think, which is underappreciated. So overall, I really like the way Misery played this hero. I think this was a team victory for DC. I don't think this was a individual victory. I think there were really great plays. Resolution's play was fantastic on the Void. Just very good overall, not getting ganked, only had 3 deaths, lots of kills, participating in lots of team fights. In fact, his Radiance build was really, I think, powerful. The fact he just tanked up and then went Radiance which, is a known build, and he didn't invent that, but he did a good job on that. Puck, Weehaw did a really great job on the puck. Not so good in some circumstances. He had a couple of slip-ups there that, that first kill, he gave away first blood there. I'm not sure what he was thinking on that one. He had a Dream Coil on a Night Stalker that did absolutely nothing. Actually caused him potentially to lose the following fight because his Dream Coil was not up. Beastmaster, though, I think played a very good job. Very good job on Beastmaster. He got killed a couple times, but he also contributed quite significantly. I think got a solo kill, for example, on the Tusk. Changes the game when in that fight after Roshan, the blink in from Tiny into the rocks, the Avalanche rocks, stun, and the toss, and then Beastmaster turns it with an ultimate. Doom, not the best game, I think, for Doom. I'm not sure what all he contributed. He doomed Night Stalker a lot, which is okay, I guess, preventing the crippling fears perhaps on the Keeper of the Light, so the Keeper of the Light continue to do things, or perhaps the crippling fears on the Void. I'm not entirely sure if this was the best Doom game, but they all played really well together. I don't think Complexity's lineup synergized, gelled as well as they thought it did. So I'm not going to give this to the Keeper of the Light, this whole game to the Keeper of the Light, but it is a good example of how to play a Keeper of the Light, maximizing the contribution of the hero, which is not, I think, the greatest potential in the game for a support. In the way some of these heroes really change the game, the way that like an ET would, or the way that a Vengeful Spirit could. So you don't see him picked very often. But there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed this particular cast. Maybe next time you play Keeper Light, you'll be just a little bit better. The MMR go up a little bit, or you'll be like me and you'll facepalm because you've watched one video, thought you were good at something, and got your ass kicked by somebody who probably counterpicked your Keeper of the Light because you picked it early, and they're like, oh, I'm going to get a bounty hunter and just go kill this Keeper of the Light all the time. Or, Ricky, which is annoying. But there you go. Good luck and have fun, everybody. And until next time.